What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Spectator Mode Podcast. I'm your host, Keith Mitchell, and I'm joined with my other host here. We got Scotty, who is the JRPG guy. Hey, Scott,
Yes.
What's the difference between JRPG and RPG?
One's usually Japanese related. The other one doesn't have to be.
I just wanted to see what you're going to say about it. And then, of course, our buddy Jordan over here, who's the best gamer on this show, who also is a fan of Intel and has a story to tell us.
I mean, I very temporarily have my PC back because if you haven't been following me on social media for a while or on our website, my PC is basically dead, but it's been sent back to me to test out again because I've been rolling out different components as we go. However, my issue remains.
He's going to talk about that. He's going to talk about that later on. But of course, everybody, before we jump into this, I want to thank everybody who comes over to Yatta Haven's website. Check us out on our YouTube, interface with us on Blue Sky, and we would love more of your support. Stay tuned for more information about that and an article on our website. And of course, every time we start the show, we talk about games we played and shows that we have watched. Jordan, I'm gonna let you go first, buddy. What you got?
Well, with a broken PC.
All right, so Scott's next then. Okay.
No. Hold on.
Consoles
story time is after the game we played, man. You switched the topic.
I understand, but I'm just prefacing that with a broken PC, I haven't been able to play as much as I would like. However, I have been playing, of course, Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I'll talk about more later in the show. And I've been playing something that I can't tell you about yet, other than to say that I have played it and we have a review coming. And that
we're allowed to say what it is. We're allowed to say what it is.
That is South of Midnight, which the review is coming on April the 3rd at noon Eastern. So figure that out in your own time zones. But we have a review. I believe that Keith is putting together a video version of that review as well.
I am?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, I guess I am now. Thanks.
Gotta go put that in the calendar now.
Yep, I got more stuff to do. Check that on there. Thanks.
So we'll have some coverage on that. And other than that, I've been watching a couple of things here and there. I finally watched Sonic 3, so that was fun.
Finally?
Yeah. That was fun. I have a few issues with it, but overall, fun movie. You can see why they're going to continue to make these, because I think they've just hit a fairly good formula for these movies, and they understand what they're doing with them.
They understand that the Sonic universe is vast, and they have a huge audience for Sonic games.
Yeah.
Just as big as Mario, maybe even bigger. Because there's so many Sonic games out there.
However, speaking of Sonic, I actually want to transition to something that is related to things that I will be watching at some point, so kind of fits here.
Hurry up. You gotta go fast.
Did you see that in the kind of press tour for Sonic 3, James Marsden kept talking about X-Men all the time?
And
And
I wonder why that might be.
Nothing to do with any Marvel news recently.
Yes, yeah.
He wasn't revealed yet, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was one of the last ones, actually.
Okay. I was like, I'm not watching this anymore. This is
You didn't want to watch 7 hours of chairs?
But the funny thing is, in the shorter video, I don't know what the stream was like, but in the shorter video, they do it where the music actually changes to the X-Men music. Okay. And it's like, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they do.
Brilliant stuff. But other than that, yes, I haven't watched too much. I did watch the first 2 episodes of a new show called The Pit today, which is a medical drama, which you can find on HBO Max. And it's interesting. It's different to other medical dramas that I've watched in the past, because the entire series actually takes place over one day. So it's one working day for these ER doctors, essentially. And it's quite interesting to see, because you can tell they're trying to make it a lot more realistic to the actual Doctor experience rather than
Nothing's
being a
better than
drama.
PR. Nothing beats PR.
Well, not even House. No,
I mean,
I
one
love
of the
House.
guys out of ER is the main person in this show. So,
My hat all whack. What's wrong with my hat? Weird
but
hat.
yeah, that's kind of it for me at the moment. Obviously, I'll talk more about Assassin's Creed later because we have actually all played that, I believe. So,
Yep.
You have?
Well, I know 2 of us at least.
yeah, Keith, what have you been doing?
Oh, a lot of things. Apparently, also doing reviews for people. My time isn't my time. So there's that. Are you done?
I'm done. I have a
right, 'cause
broken
I'm gonna go.
PC, so you know.
Yeah, you got a busted PC. I'm so sorry about that. So I've been playing a lot of the First Berserker Khazan. Really like that game. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. Another game I can't really talk about. So yeah, can't say anything about that. I also do want to say that we do have a great review of the First Berserker Khazan over the website. One of our friends of the show, Erica, did the review. Amazing job. She's a big fan of Souls-like. Definitely check out the review. I think she did a fantastic job. There was a show I watched recently on Netflix. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. It was brand new. And I know that doesn't really help.
What was it
Electric
about?
State.
Tell me.
Electric State? Was it the Electric State? I think, yeah.
Electric
With
State,
Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all right. It's okay.
It's a family movie.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. It's a decent show. I really like that.
It's what I would call a Sunday afternoon movie. Like,
Yeah.
you just sit down and watch it with your family, and then never think about it again after that.
I will say the CGI in that movie was amazing. Like, now they had a better script, but
there was one robot character I really liked in it.
Which one was that?
The one that was hanging around with Chris Pratt all the time.
Oh yeah,
hilarious.
Yeah. I also finished up watching Sakamoto Days. Love that show.
Nice.
Love it. Came out of nowhere. Didn't expect it. Hitman that now runs a convenience store, but it's still amazing.
Still retains his skills.
Yeah, it's amazing. And if you watch the last episode, and they have this list of people that the new baddies are coming after, or Sakamoto's on the list, and he's only B+, and it's like there's other people that are A. Like, wait, if he's a B+, and these guys are A, wow, okay, this is going to be interesting when this comes back on in July. So I'll be looking forward to that. Various different other animes, nothing worth mentioning. I've just been going back and watching some of my favorite stuff,
Gundam
of course,
stuff.
Gundams, watching Transformers, the anime movie for the bazillionth time now, things of that. And let me go back. Outside of playing the First Berserker Khazan, I also have been playing a lot more of Monster Hunter Worlds. I'm sorry, Wilds on Worlds.
Wilds. I was like, hey, you went back to World?
W-H, it's like M-H-W. Like, which one is it? I don't know.
The I-1. Oh, so Monster Hunter World Iceborne. No, dang it.
I fell off because I need to get my hunter rank up. Not that makes a big difference. If you're over 50, you can pretty much do everything in the game right now. But they did finally give us more information about the upcoming update, which will be on, when is that? This on the 4th? It's on the 4th.
Yeah,
it's on the 4th because at the same time the new Path of Exile 2 update comes out. So
have fun with that.
It's gonna be a fun time. If you're an action RPG Monster Hunter guy, you're gonna be happy. 4th is Saturday? Friday.
Yeah.
Friday. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be fun. Other than that, that's it. So all right. Once again, we have to harass Scott and see how long he's been going.
I'll try to keep mine short, but I also admit I have played a lot this week. Okay, so I've been continuing my run in Suikoden 1 Remastered. For my birthday, I got the collection on the Switch. I noticed that Suikoden 1 is it starts pretty slow, but once you start like amassing characters, you start amassing way too many characters. And the big problem with that is you have to gear every single character because they all start out with 0 equipment. And initially you have a lot of money, but when you actually start gearing like up to 10 to 12 characters, it gets a lot more pricey. I thought I had a lot of money until I realized, oh crap, I need to get this fur coat for 10 people. So I still really like do the Suikoden like set of basically getting as many people as you want or getting as few people as you want, as long as it's the party you want. But I kind of like amassing and collecting characters because it's always really fun to see like what requires you have to do to get them. Another game that I've played that also came out recently was Xenoblade Chronicles X that came out on the Switch this month. And I've been playing some of that, which is nice. The only thing I have like kind of a weird spot for is their jump button is on one of the triggers. So I keep trying to press A, but pressing A is your attack. So I'm like, oh, press A to jump over this wall. Oh, I just attacked it with my sword. Never mind. Otherwise, Xenoblade Chronicles X is actually really good. They did a fantastic job transitioning it onto the Switch. I also can't wait to see how it runs on the Switch 2 when that comes out eventually, because we've gotten little hints that there's going to be certain games that get enhanced versions or editions on the Switch 2. And some, like the Xenoblade Chronicles X, has data files that allow it to be revamped for if you have it on a harder or a better hardware, which means that there's probably going to be a way to make it play better on a Switch 2, which is going to be pretty awesome.
That's good.
Something also that was said on the Switch Direct recently was a shadow drop of Saga Frontier 2 Remastered. I've been playing that game. I really enjoy the Saga games. They are very dynamic in how you level up. They're very dynamic in how you do what you need to do, because you can get characters in the game. And in Saga Frontier 2 especially, you basically go from different perspectives throughout throughout history, kind of a deal. It starts off with like the main character is Gustav. He's basically from this very magic centric kingdom, and he learns that he is not magical. So he has to get exiled because his daddy does not like people who aren't magical. And so because his mommy was kind of appalled that his dad would just exile him, she actually went to go with the son and said, "Screw you, daddy." Which you can't really blame, because that was just kind of messed up if you like just exile like your 7-year-old son because he doesn't have magic. And obviously, being exiled from his home because of magic also made the kid a little jaded against magic itself, and basically seeing himself as like worthless, because magic is such a very strong ideology in this world. So it's interesting to see like he has to somehow cope with a loss of magic. So he decides to go towards Swordmaster or swords, because you don't need magic to hit people with a sword. Another game I've been playing was Bleach Rebirth of Souls. My friend and I...
Nice.
Yeah, so my friend and I, that game share, we both like Bleach. So because we both did, we put our money in to get one copy of the game for the two of us, basically. And Rebirth of Souls is actually a lot different than I was expecting. I was initially expecting it just to be like another anime arena fighter. But they changed... So the way that this game is, it's more like a Soul Calibur fighter, where it's based on your weapon, your range, and every character has a different type of speed. But they do have it where I think is interesting is instead of having like rounds, they give characters like Konpoko, or which are just lives. And if you are like in a Bankai form, when you do enough damage and you hurt them, you actually make them lose more lives than they would if you were just gonna defeat them outside your Bankai, kind of a deal. So like actually awakening and getting faster and stronger combos actually does help you in the long run in matches, because you can make them lose more lives per match if you're in Bankai or if you're in high combo modes. Another game that I've been playing, because I've been playing it slowly every week, is Split Fiction. So I've been really enjoying my time with it. I think there's actually a lot of fun nuance when you look like behind this, like kind of in between like the normal context, because there's a lot of subtext in these worlds and a lot of subtext in between the characters' personalities and how they write and why they do what they do. And so it's really interesting and fun just to see the little things, even if like you can argue like the entire like premise of the game is kind of, it's not really generic, but it's kind of like predictable. Basically, these two girls go in and want to be published, and the guy who initially wants to say they're going to publish them instead puts them in a machine to take all their ideas and put them in a machine to basically create creativity. And then use that machine to use AI game, right? Creativity. Yeah,
So
it's
I've
all about
also-
anti-AI.
So I have also played this game. It's one game that I forgot to mention. Obviously, I'm going to be reviewing it. The reason I haven't done it yet, as you may have realized, I don't have a PC, so it's made it very hard to do coverage of things. But what I would say is, if you want my quick impressions of the game, it's a great game.
Mhm.
I'm just not sure that it captures. I'm not sure they've managed to capture lightning in a bottle twice, but I think they get quite close to it. There aren't many games that get this close, and I did like, because I didn't know this when I was playing it, but the game has a secret challenge, and the first two people to finish it got invited to the studio or something, right?
Oh, that's
so
cool.
so that was really cool. But yeah, it's interesting, the story of the game and how it's kind of mirroring a lot of concerns people have in real life right now. Very interesting.
Just the promise of being publishers will give you a lot of people want to give you their stories.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you like to be a famous creative artist? Just give us your ideas and we'll put the AI to work. But yeah, so I've been playing it with my wife, and it's really fun to just also bounce off the ideas and stuff with her, because we're both in that we like writing books kind of a deal. So we basically see a lot of the ins and outs of just literature and just creative minded when it comes to creating stories and how they can formulate how worlds are shaped. And so it's just interesting to also see oh, well, when someone of this sees it from the outside versus when you're the person creating the story, it's a whole lot different.
And the stories have hidden meanings as well, which I
Yes.
like. That's really cool. And when you kind of uncover that as you play, it makes the core narrative of the game actually quite a lot more meaningful than it initially appears to be.
Yeah, 100%. Alrighty, the next game I've been playing was Atelier Yumiya, The Alchemist of Memories in the Envisioned Land. I have a review for that game already up. I think this is probably my new favorite Atelier game. They did a solid job. They did a great job of basically making it both turn-based and action-based. They did a great job of streamlining a lot of the more, I'd say, difficult things for newcomers to have to get used to, like basket sizes, the alchemy is a whole lot streamlined, so it makes it a little easier to understand. They also made it a lot more streamlined in just your basically exploring. They give you a whole lot more verticality, a lot more movement options, a lot more things you can do in the overworld. They made it an open world setting, but they also gave you a lot of things to gather, which honestly, the whole, a lot of the biggest premise of wanting to be in an Atelier game is its gathering functionality and basically getting all the highest quality ingredients you can. So basically, mixing that with an open world experience is actually a fantastic idea, but it's also a really bad idea because you just want to go everywhere, get all the ingredients, and then make something out of them. Yeah. One of my problems with the Ryza games or even the Sophie games is they put a limit to how many things you can gather per time you go to exploring. So I'll go to 1 or 2 maps over before I get full and have to go all the way back to the Atelier and be like, oh crap, now I gotta go do it all over again.
Brilliant.
With Yumiya, they actually let you put containers all around the open world, so you don't have to actually go back to the Atelier to mix your stuff up. You could just go, I'll put it over here. I'll do it over here.
Easier.
Oh, so much easier. It's so nice. It's so nice. Oh, it's weird because when I look at some of the Atelier reviews, a lot of the people don't like that. They want you to keep going back to the Atelier. I'm like, no, this is great. Screw that.
That's basically a quality of life change, right?
Yeah. I don't want it to keep going back if I don't have to. So the last game I played was Warriors Abyss, which also correlates with that because Warriors Abyss added actually 3 Atelier characters into the game. They added Atelier Ryza, Atelier Sophie, and Atelier Yumiya to be in the Warriors Abyss. So I had to make sure that I played all 3 of the characters, made it to actually finish the runs of all of them. And I even got the mastery equipment with Sophie, which is nice because Sophie's my favorite protagonist in the Atelier games. Because she was my first protagonist in the Atelier games. A lot of people started with Ryza. I started with Sophie.
Fair.
I guess, and one thing I did actually get to watch something this week, which was Looney Tunes and the Day That the World Blew Up.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of things about this. Well, tell me, what did you think, Scott?
I really enjoyed it, but I do think that because there's so much going on that you can it's going to be something that people aren't going to be able to really. It's not something that I would recommend unless you're someone who already knows you like Looney Tunes stuff, because it is very Looney Tunes.
Okay, that's good to know.
And it's interesting also to see that the main two protagonists in this is Porky Pig and Daffy Duck, because they're not necessarily. I mean, in the original Looney Tunes, they were paired up quite a bit, but like the way that Looney Tunes evolved, it turned into more of the Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck show. And so it's weird now to have it like returned back to the old Looney Tunes format of having Porky Pig and Daffy Duck.
I kind of like that though, because
they do go well together, especially because they make like a 10-minute segment in the beginning to explain why they're together, and it's like because they're brothers, because they get adopted by a guy named Farmer Jim, and they kind of make fun of like Farmer Jim the entire time, because like he's supposed to be poorly animated and poorly done, because like, oh, this is where we cut the budget. So like literally the last shot you have of Farmer Jim is him walking, but they couldn't actually they don't have money for the budget, so instead of walking they just move his frame one down, like as if he's walking, but he's not actually. They're just like, okay, I get it. Like it's very comedic and it's very Looney Tunes and it's very fun, and like they have a few twists that it's one of those twists that you can kind of see coming, but at the same time it's one of those stories you're like, if people just talk to each other, this movie would have been like 20 minutes long. But nobody talks because it's Looney Tunes. But it's really fun, and if you like Looney Tunes stuff, if you like cartoons and just like wild hijinks, this is definitely a movie you should watch if it's still up. Some of the theaters, like around me, they only were in the theaters for like a week and a half, and then they all got like taken out of the theaters for Snow White. So
that went well.
Yeah, yeah. I wish we had more time with Looney Tunes, honestly. Well, yeah, that is my what I've played / watched today segment.
So that's the episode over because Scott has just taken up all the time.
He just got a lot of stuff here. Wow, 22 minutes. All right. I'm sorry, I'm dying here, so I had to go get some water here because getting sick again is really annoying. But you know,
that sucks.
Our fleshy human bodies. Before we go further, I did want to mention that myself and Scott have got re-invited back to Summer Game Fest, so that is cool. Got invited last year. It was a really fun experience.
Time to go looking for hotels again.
We got all those cool things over there, so stop. And we get to go again this year. So I've already did mine. I'm not going to a hotel. Airbnb again. I'm not going to hotels. No.
I might just do the same hotel I did before because it's still as cheap as it was last year.
And I got the entire family coming, so yeah, it's always expensive. Fun stuff.
I'll be your son.
No, I'm trying to get rid of my son. No thanks, bro. I'm good. And speaking of other surprises, so Gameinformer, which was previously owned by GameStop, which was closed down August 2024, and all their staff kicked to the curb and their website taken down, is back. They're like a version from the ashes. They've knocked out, I think, like 20 plus reviews already.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Thanks to the efforts of Gunzilla Games, they have purchased the rights to Gameinformer from GameStop, and now Gameinformer is their own entity, so they have total control over everything there. So that's good stuff for them. Good to see that they're back, and we're looking forward to see what they do again because the entire team is back. So it's good stuff. That is a
win. Very few win in the gaming journalism industry.
Yeah, really needed to see that out of nowhere too. Out of nowhere. Certain people knew what was happening, but they couldn't talk about it. So it was like, oh, okay. All they kept saying is, hey, there's something happening. Be on a watch out for this. Like, be on a watch out for what exactly? So,
you'll know when it happens.
Whatever this is. Okay, sure. Wow. Again, sorry, dying here. So if you have been paying attention as of late, especially during the Nintendo Direct, there was a particular game revealed that included Marvel and Dotemu and Tribute Games that looked like those old arcade beat 'em ups that we played when we were younger. At least some of us played when we were younger, and reminded me of X-Men and Captain America and Avengers, and those games. Well, Marvel Cosmic Invasion is the newest game coming from Dotemu or .emu. People don't like me saying emu because it sounds weird. And Tribute Games, and it has me going gaga. I saw it. I was like, holy crap! What is this game?
It looked good.
It looks amazing, and it's not just that it looks amazing. Is they're doing a lot of fan service. People have been breaking down the frames of the video that they've seen so far. And they're like, hey, some of these frames, some of these movesets are from other games.
Yep.
So, like Captain America, they broke it down. Like, he has his entire moveset from Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yep.
And it's like, what? So yeah, watch it. And it's like, holy crap, it's amazing. And not to mention, we're getting character wow, that we have not seen in any game at all. So we got Nova, we got Captain America, we got Spider-Man, Wolverine, Venom, Storm. Who was the last one? The new Quasar.
Yeah.
I can't
Wasn't
pronounce
it Phyla-Vel or whatever?
Yeah. She's never been in the game before. Never.
No.
She's got a loaded history in the terms of the Marvel comics, because she was somebody, then she became Quasar, and now she's not Quasar because the day Quasar came back to life, and the whole quantum band thing. It's a doozy. So
there's a lot to it.
There's a lot going on with that character. And there's still going to be 8 more characters, because when the game launches, it's going to have 15 characters at launch. So
that's going to be crazy.
And the really cool thing about this is when you play the game, you get to pick 2 different characters, because each character, basically you can swap. So say you're picking Captain America, you're doing whatever your combo, you can swap out to like Wolverine or Spider-Man to continue the combo, or do super moves. Like I'm guessing like Marvel vs. Capcom. They didn't really show us that. They just teased us that, hey, it's going to be there. It's also going to be 4-player co-op. So I'm assuming instead of you having access to characters, everybody will have access to one character.
Otherwise, you'd basically have half the cast with you with a 4-player game.
Right. Yeah. It's looking amazing. You know, I know a lot of people are like, I'm tired of seeing these sprite games, but this looks great.
This looks fantastic.
I cannot stop talking about this game. I really want to play this game. And it's coming out this year. And .emu has a lot of amazing games coming out this year.
Yeah.
Not just this one. There's a dark fantasy beat 'em up game called Absalom coming out. Look forward to that. I've heard from the PR team that's handling this that game is amazing. So, but yeah, Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Everybody took dibs on all the characters, so I'm like, I guess I have nobody to play with because you guys suck until we get until we see the other 8 characters that come out. So, looking forward to playing that. Wow, sorry. I'm gonna keep saying sorry because I'm dying. Speaking of another game I can't wait to play or have been playing, the first Berserker Khazan has finally come out. I've been playing a lot of this game before it came out for a review process. And even though I didn't review it, I did have a lot of hands-on with it. If you were somebody looking for a brand new Souls-like game, or not even it's not really truly a Souls-like game. It takes a lot of Souls-like elements, but also a lot of action. It's definitely one of the faster Souls-like games I played, even faster than Bloodborne, which people keep saying is the fastest Souls-like game they played. This takes the crown. It's amazing. It's fun. It's got a lot of great combat. The graphics are great. The performance is great across the board. It's a fun game. It even has an easy mode for people who don't normally play the game.
What's the problem with that mode, though, Keith?
So, going back to that, back when Cuphead came out, you might remember this game for one reason or another. That game had an easy mode. But the downside to that is if you played the game on easy mode, you didn't get access to any of the achievements and you couldn't beat the game. There was also another game that came out recently, Flintlock, which did the same thing. If you played in easy mode, you didn't get access to the achievements. And this is what the First Berserker Khazan is also doing. If you play it in easy mode, you do not get the achievements. Now, if you don't care about achievements and you just want to get from point A to point B, then you probably don't care. But let me back up. I have a problem with developers putting in easy modes in these games if you're going to punish people from getting access to a trophy or an achievement. It's a freaking trophy or achievement.
It's kind of like
not a big deal.
We were speaking about it last night, and my concern about something like this is what's going to happen next. And I have seen it in a few games, but what's going to happen? We're now going to see AAA games going, oh, if you turn on this accessibility option, you can no longer get trophies or achievements. And it's like, really? Because that is essentially what this is.
Yeah, you're hindering people for choosing accessibility elements.
Exactly. And what if some people can't play the game? Okay, it's a fast-paced game. There are people that say, hey, sometimes games are too fast or there's too much being thrown at me. Easy mode makes it easier for me to play the game. Great. So why put this mode in the game and then punish people if they choose to do this?
Yeah.
I don't like that. I love the fact that there is an easy mode, but introducing an easy mode but also punishing people because they chose easy mode is not a good look. And I'm hoping they eventually change that. But outside of that, it's a great game. It's an amazing game. Again, if you're looking for a new Souls-like game, if you're a veteran of the scene and you want something new to play this. There's another one that came out. I don't know. Yeah, AI Limit. Don't play that.
Yeah, AI Limit. I haven't heard good things on it, honestly.
Skip that. Don't play that. Skip that. But if you're waiting for Elden Ring, a Night Ring, and you need something to play this. It's an amazing game. I know I've said it more than enough times. It's amazing, but this is a fantastic game. Outside of the easy mode shenanigans, the game just came out officially on the 27th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And as soon as the game came out, they nerfed 2 bosses. One of them, people said, is a very hard boss. That is Viper. Viper can kick your butt, but that's the thing about Souls-like games. You're supposed to learn, and I hate to say get good, but you're supposed to learn and figure out these things and eventually make it past the boss. The whole thing about these Souls-like games is, even though they're considered hard, there are mechanics. There are ways of getting around these bosses.
Yeah.
So once you figure that out, you go, yes, I did it.
And that actually brings me to a point I want to make, because I've seen people complaining about the difficulty of Souls-likes for a really long time. And I think what people forget is, if these games and these bosses and stuff were not beatable, they wouldn't actually pass certification. Because
I will say that
passing certification is a game has to be proven to be beatable.
Well, there have been a bunch of games that have been released that were nearly impossible to beat, and even the developers have not beaten the game, or the creator of the game, talking to you, Miyazaki, you know what I'm talking about, had stated he needed help to beat his game. So,
but the point is, someone can do it, right? And if someone can do it, anyone can learn to do it, arguably. Look at me with that terrible boss in Elden Ring that I hated, Keith. Do you remember that one?
Oh man, yeah, it was fun. You bring up Elden Ring, and there was a lot of back and forth about that. I kept yelling at people like, "Hey, I beat the game before the game was available to play, in the review period, and I beat it without any guide." So
yeah,
come on, guys. Yeah. I'm just a lowly game journalist. What the hell do I know? I play these games. But yeah, go play it. Go play it. It's a great game. I did want to say something before you started talking about Shadows.
Was it to do with an interview that we've had recently?
No, we talked about that. Did we? No, we did not.
We did not.
We screwed up. So we have to move that. Because we were looking at this.
Keith screwed up because he left because he's ill and he was dying, basically.
Yeah, I was dying. Sorry about that. So we have a great review of Dark Deity 2. It is a strategy RPG game from our strategy RPG guy, Getsilius, who loves this game. He says it's probably one of the best games he played all year, and he doesn't really give high praise to a lot of games. So if he's saying it must be something. There's a review over YouTube. Definitely check it out. I think it's one of the better reviews on YouTube, not because it's ours, but because he puts so much effort and so much critique, and he's showing how much he really loves this game by talking about it. So definitely check that out. We also have an interview from I'm dying here. Go ahead, take it from there, Jordan. Oh, man, I am just dying.
So we have interviewed, myself and Keith put together a list of questions for the main English voice actress of Naue in Assassin's Creed Shadows. I cannot pronounce her name. Maybe Keith can do that for me. Masumi. And yeah, we asked her a good bunch of questions. I think we came up with some good questions between us. And some of her answers were really enlightening, actually, and were interesting to hear, especially about how she connected with Naue as a character and how she looked to play the character. That stuff was really interesting. So you can see Keith's article on the website right now about that.
She also voiced the was it Japanese? Yeah, she did the Japanese voiceover as well.
She did the Japanese as well, did she? I wasn't aware of that. Wow,
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yep.
It's really
She's
cool.
multilingual. A lot of people said that they didn't really like the English voiceover.
Oh,
I didn't have any problems with it.
I actually really praised her. I played in the English, and in my review of the game, which I would recommend that you go and read, I think her performance is one of the better performances in the entire franchise. Look, I could sit here all day and talk about how I think that because this game is made by Ubisoft, it's had some unfair criticism for certain things.
Not complaining if you pick the character that makes the games easier, you chumps.
Yeah. But I would rather sit here and talk about what we love about it, because we've all played it, right?
What do we love about Assassin's Creed Shadows?
What do we love? Well, for me, I love the fact that they've nailed this setting in a way that I didn't think they would. But when you come up over the top of a hill and you see the wind blowing and you got leaves flying around and and the music going, it's so atmospheric and just crazy at times. Like, the amount of times I'll be going around on my horse playing this game, right? And I literally can't see 3 feet in front of me because there's so much fog. This game has probably the best weather system that I've ever seen in a video game. And not to mention, if you've played it or if you've seen it, they have different seasons. So as you play through the game, the seasons will change, and that affects the environment around you. And you can automatically, like the seasons will automatically change as you fast travel and get to different story points and things like that. But you can also manually change it after a certain amount of time within gameplay. But what impressed me most of all about that aspect is that it actually has a difference on gameplay. It's not just, oh, this is going to change gameplay, and then it doesn't really. It actually has an impact. So, for example, there's one fort in this game, there's one castle that you basically cannot get to because it's surrounded by water. You can get to it, it's just difficult. However, if you wait till winter, all of that water is frozen. and you can literally just run along the water, and then you're able to get up the wall with the grappling hook and everything. And it's really nice how every hour that I'm playing the game, it just feels really dynamic. That's the kind of best way that I can explain it, is the entire game feels dynamic, and it feels like, yes, it's an Assassin's Creed game, and yes, it's a Ubisoft open world, but I do think it's very clear that Ubisoft have taken people's feedback about their previous games and tried to make this the best one they've ever done. I don't know if you would agree.
Visually, it's their best Assassin's Creed ever. It is
absolutely.
The weather itself just makes the game look phenomenal. It's just like, wow, this is when you play this game on a system that's capable of playing the game. I'm not putting it, and I'm not making fun of you.
I'm sorry,
amazing.
Steam Deck. No,
I love the way it looks. I play it a lot on my PC. It looks amazing. And since
if I could play it on my PC, I would. I've actually been playing on PS5 Pro, and I do want to make a quick note. Please, people, do not play this game in performance mode if you're playing on console, because 1, the frame rate doesn't lock anyway, and 2, the visual downgrade between performance mode and quality actually is not worth the drop. Like, it looks like a last generation game in comparison, and that's being kind to it.
I mean, it does look like a PlayStation 3 game when you play it on the Steam Deck, because you're taking everything and load, trying to get over 30 frames per second, and you still can't do it. All right, so I'm going to tangent. Sorry, guys. It's your fault, Scott. We get a lot of people making videos and articles on how to get Assassin's Creed Shadows run on their Steam Deck, and I understand you guys are trying to get people to come to your YouTube channel and come to your website. But when you do all these things and you come back at the very end and go, even if you do this, you may not get a stable frame rate and the game looks bad, then why are you making these videos? Why are you doing these articles? If you're taking a game that looks phenomenal and you're making it so that it runs on a Steam Deck, and I understand that if that's all you have to play on your Steam Deck, great. But when you're taking the game and you're really abolishing the developer's vision just to get it to run on a Steam Deck, it's kind of a problem. And I also have a problem with Valve going and say, "Hey, this game is Steam verified."
This is Steam Deck verified because it runs.
There's a big difference from, "Hey, this game runs," to "This game runs well."
Yeah.
You know, running at 20 frames per second should not qualify as being, "Oh, it runs. Just it's terrible. Sorry."
You can run it. The app will say it as 100% functional, and you're right. It is functional. Doesn't mean it's functional good.
And it's sending a bad signal to the industry, to people who buy these devices and go, "I'm gonna get a great experience on these devices." Then they play it and they go, "This is terrible. This is crap. Why is everybody telling me to play this?" Yeah. There's a big difference. Valve, stop telling people they can run their AAA games on your hardware that is 4 or 5 years old, was outdated before it even came out. Stop, please. I'm done.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to praising the game.
But I like that I can pick one character and I can just steamroll the entire game.
So this is something I want to hit on, right? And I'm gonna go on a small tangent to get there, but bear with me.
He's now. He's copying me.
Start the clock. No,
there are many people out there that will not be named, but if you look at reviews, and particularly reviews on YouTube, you may have come across one or two where they are of the opinion that Yasuke is terrible and should not be in this video game and is basically pointless, right? Because he doesn't have the assassin skills that Naue has. He doesn't have eagle vision. He doesn't have the ability to parkour quite as well as she does.
Quite as well.
But what can Yasuke do that is really, really fun? Run through basically a brick wall and then chop people up into little pieces.
Giant club enemy fight.
Like,
do you want to beat up people or do you want to beat up people well?
Like,
I take the latter.
Don't get me wrong, right? I understand people saying, yes, it's very clear that in terms of design, there are certain aspects of this game that were designed more with Naue in mind. I understand that. However, I don't understand why you would criticize a game for giving you the option to play in a different way should you want to. Especially when, for the last 3 RPG-focused Assassin's Creed games, what has the combat been like? Who actually more represents those style of games in this one? Yasuke.
Yasuke, absolutely.
So if you are familiar with those, and if that's what brought you into the series, Yasuke is probably going to be the one that you choose. And it's still an incredibly fun experience. And I've seen a lot of criticism of people saying, oh, he can't get to the synchronization points and all this kind of stuff. Use your brain, people. There are very few of these synchronization points that he actually can't get to in the game. There is always a way for him to reach the synchronization point.
Sometimes it requires him to run into stuff, but he can get there.
Yeah, like sometimes he has to go inside the building and use something called stairs.
What?
Sometimes
You mean I can't parkour up a wall to get to something?
Sometimes
you tried parkouring in full samurai armor? Don't recommend.
Sometimes he has to do the normal person thing and stand up on something before he can reach the roof. But there's usually a box there for him to stand on. Like, they have thought about this stuff. I think the problem is that people are playing this game and they play as Naoe and they go, oh, I can do all this cool stuff. And then when you're playing as Yasuke, it's not that he can't do it. It's that it takes more thought to do it with him. And that's the difference. And my thing is both experiences are really, really fun for very different reasons. Like, if I want to have a full stealth situation, I would probably favor Naoe. Although, should you spec Yasuke in the right way, he is actually very capable in stealth. Other than the fact that his brutal assassinations are really loud, but
all you gotta do is assassinate from very far away with his bow and arrow.
Yeah. But I'll be honest. I knew that this was going to be a good game from the moment that we previewed it, Scott. Yeah. I think we both said, like, it's going to be very hard for this to not be a good game because it was clear even from those few hours that we played that it's like they've nailed at least some aspects of this. What has shocked me is just how much this feels like a Ubisoft game, but it also feels like something completely different at the same time. Because, for example, you will be exploring the open world, and there are things you can find that don't even show up on your map. You'll just be, and you'll get a question mark off in the distance, and you go over to it, and 9 times out of 10, it's actually something meaningful. You know, one of the best changes that they've made, I think, here, is they've stripped back the amount of stuff in the open world. But they've also added the knowledge-based system, which gives you more reason to engage with the side stuff, because increasing your knowledge rank allows you to unlock more skills, which makes other parts of the game better and deeper and more interesting. I don't really know how you guys feel, but I've played 60 hours of this game, and if I wasn't on this podcast, I'd be playing it right now.
Got to get that plat.
I mean, you can play it on your phone right now.
I could, and that's a good point, actually, because something I want to say
play
is...
on your phone now, no.
No, but something I do want to say is, in the wake of not having my PC, thanks to Nvidia, I do have GeForce Now, the ultimate tier. They were gracious enough to gift me that for coverage purposes, for when I can actually write coverage again in about 6 months.
I can do stuff.
Wait. Weren't you supposed to do a GeForce Now impressions earlier in the podcast? And you're ragging on me. And you rag on me.
I mean, what can I say? I was letting you do your talking, and then I thought I'd find a place to
I
fit
was
it.
dying, and I left for a moment. What are you talking about?
No.
All right, so we'll just put that in there. How does it play on GeForce Now?
Very, very well. I'm impressed.
No, how is very, very well?
Very, very well. Put it this way. The only thing I would say about GeForce Now is that if you're someone who's trying to use it to replace your console experience, that is definitely doable now, but you need to have a very good internet connection, and ideally you want that internet connection to be wired into whichever device you're using. I am quite fortunate in the sense that I picked up myself an Nvidia Shield TV just because I heard that was the best way to use their service.
No. No. I'm not saying that you're wrong. No. What I'm trying to say to you is it is the best top box setup. What's the best word for this one, Scott? Because there's two ways you could say it. What was it? Setup box?
Set-top box.
It's one of the two. It's better. It's the best one.
Yeah,
everything else
way to
it's
connect
the
it.
best one.
And GeForce Now is extremely
laptop,
good with 4K visuals too.
You can only play 4K on the Shield.
Yeah,
you can. Yeah. So what surprised me, and look, I'm fortunate to have the ultimate tier, which does cost, I believe, $99 every 6 months. So it's not cheap. But again, it's one of those things where I would actually say, in the right conditions, with a very good internet connection, which I have 1 gigabit down here, and
my upload bragging about his internet connection. Which
my upload speed's pretty good as well. If you have a very good internet connection, I would actually say it's a better experience than a console experience at this point. And that shocks me. But it's very serviceable. Is it going to match native playing on a PC? No. But latency-wise, it, at least for single-player stuff, there's no issue whatsoever. When you're trying to do multiplayer, you will start to notice some latency things. But again, out of all the cloud-based and streaming-based gaming services right now, it's the one that is at least still playable to some degree, even in a multiplayer setting. And that just isn't possible on any of the others at this point.
Yeah, GeForce is the best cloud option currently.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, if I was to kind of sum it up, I would say that if you're a single player only gamer, at this point, it is a better experience than playing on a console, should you have a good enough internet connection.
Oh no, did you just say that? Oh no, those are fighting words.
I'm just being honest. This isn't something I expected going in, but it's just the truth. Yeah, I would recommend it. Obviously, it is expensive. $99 every 6 months. That's $200 a year. But then at the same time, if you're someone who can't afford a PC, for example, you could pay for GeForce Now for 10 years, for the price of a pretty good PC. There is an affordability to GeForce Now that is better than the affordability of a PC, and you are improving your overall experience over a console. And you own the game. You have to own the games, and you actually have access to more games, really, than anywhere else, because you can get your Steam games, you sync those, you can sync your Ubisoft games. So if you're a member of Ubisoft Plus, for example, which I actually am at the moment, you get all the Ubisoft games. Xbox allows you to sync all your Xbox games as well. So the only one that you can't really sync is PlayStation, but I wonder how much longer that's even going to last.
For now.
Yeah. So we'll see, but I really think that in about 5 years or potentially less than that, we could be sat here talking about GeForce Now being one of the major platforms within gaming. Because I can only see it growing.
I disagree with you only because it is one of the better platforms now. It's just overlooked.
It is overlooked.
True.
Because as you pointed out, you can just get a shield, connect it to your TV or to a monitor, and never worry about upgrading your hardware, because as long as you have a great internet connection, you have access to what is it? RTX 5080 servers now?
Pretty much, yeah.
So you don't need, if you don't mind having physical hardware. I love having physical hardware. That's kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? A fetish for me. As is most people who tinker with hardware. We kind of want them. But
I was going to say that I think the strongest argument for it is the fact that it's more cost effective than having the physical hardware.
Yeah. Well, in the long run, maybe not so much, but if you're just going to try it for like a year or two, then yeah.
Or if you want to get into PC gaming, you don't want to go all in and you don't want to buy a console, because the shield gives you the console-like interface. So
and you know what the other thing to say is, with console prices inevitably increasing, because the PS5 I mean the PS5 Pro has already set that precedent, right? So next gen Xboxes and PlayStations, should they exist, are going to be at least that price, you would imagine. And I think that with those prices of consoles increasing, if the word of mouth for GeForce Now can get out there, I think we could actually see a lot of people trying out this service, and then it being one of those things that once you've actually tried it, maybe you just stay subscribed.
It would be nice to see if somebody did a survey on this, because again, I really think there are a lot of people out there who are using GeForce Now. There's a reason why Nvidia has put so much money into upgrading their servers. It's been a couple years where I think this is the second time since the service has been out that they overhauled their servers. And they do it every time they have a GPU refresh.
They do. And I think in terms of user number, the last number I heard from somewhere was about a year ago. And I think it said they have like 25 million monthly users. So I think it's actually much bigger than people realize as well. Like, this is already a successful
it definitely
service.
Is. It most definitely is.
It was more successful than Stadia was ever going to be.
Wow. Stadia was Stadia technology was fantastic. Google not knowing what they were doing, and hey, if you buy your games with Stadia, it's locked to Stadia. Wait up, homie.
There's the problem.
Stadia. What?
It's essentially the Switch version of the cloud, which is still a terrible version of the cloud. You own the games as long as we own the service to the cloud. It's like, that doesn't sound right.
I want to go back to Assassin's Creed very quickly and ask you guys a question, because we're all reviewers. We've reviewed games.
Negative. I am a critique.
I'm a criticizer.
I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but I want to ask, because I think
can't put Yasuke under the bus. He'll flip the bus and kick it.
Yasuke is the bus.
Because it's a valid question. Do you think there's an element of, because as I look at the game right now, it has an 82 on OpenCritic, right? From 159 reviews. Do you think there's an element of the reception to this game that isn't so much about the game itself and is more about Ubisoft being the company that's making the game?
Rephrase that question for me.
Okay, I'll phrase it in a more upfront way.
Explain it to me like I was 5.
Do you think that people? Do you think that some people and some critics are being overly harsh on this game because it's made by Ubisoft?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Ubisoft isn't the best company out there. I'm sorry. Ubisoft hasn't set an example in terms of management. They've had a lot of kerfluffles.
Yeah.
And people love to point out that, hey, Ubisoft has screwed up. And let's be honest, just about every developer out there, every publisher out there has screwed up one way or another.
Yes.
PlayStation drops the ball continuously. You don't see people criticizing PlayStation as much as they criticize Ubisoft.
Good point.
It's just certain companies, when they get a negative stigma,
it sticks really hard, right?
It never goes away. It never goes away. They can do the best thing in the world. It will never go away.
Yeah.
So I mean, think because Ubisoft released this game, it's not doing well for Ubisoft. We even had stupid, Elon Musk.
Oh my god, yeah.
That
was put down by Ubisoft, like, hey, and another grifter I won't mention because I will never mention that loser's name again. Say something and also got put down by Ubisoft.
That's got to be like social media interaction of the year.
That is the Hall of Fame 2025 right there.
But speaking of Ubisoft, obviously all of this bad stuff that's been happening for them recently, I even spoke about in my review about how Shadows could be crucial for their future and the way that things pan out for them. But it turns out maybe something was happening in the background before this game even released. And what is that thing? Do you want to speak about it, Keith?
What thing? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come on. You do know. You do know.
Certain Chinese company.
Yes. They're called Tencent.
And, you mean that company that is determined to take over the world and they have to go up to get G.I. Joe no, that's Cobra. Yeah, Tencent. So this company is pretty much determined to get their claws, their hooks on
into everyone
out there. And they are doing it systematically. They are doing it. So since we're talking about Tencent and Ubisoft, so Ubisoft and Tencent have formed a new subsidiary.
Yeah, subsidiary.
That'll be solidified by end of this year, and basically it will be a conglomerate that'll take all the Assassin's Creed games, the Far Cry.
They're
games,
taking certain IPs, right?
Yeah, and Rainbow Six games, and we will be the one to work on these games.
Mm-hmm.
Ubisoft, regular Ubisoft, you do whatever. We will rock these games. And I don't like that.
No.
But
mm-hmm.
I do think it is the lesser evil than what would happen with Ubisoft otherwise.
Yeah.
Tencent is the reason why Ubisoft was able to get out of a potential hostile takeover.
Yeah, in the first place. Yeah. And I do, I want to say as well, the potential good part of this is that it allows this new company to take on essentially the things that we know are already hits and will continue to be hits because they just work, right? And that might allow standard Ubisoft to take a few more risks here and there, because if recent history has shown anything, when they take risks, they can make some really good games. Prince of Persia says hello.
You know what? I would like to see them go back and revisit some games that they did in the past. Child of Light.
Child of Light would be a good one to revisit.
Come on. Give us that. We need another one. That was an amazing game.
One thing that I am interested to see if it happens, though, because we have heard whispers of it in recent weeks, there has been whispers that as part of this move, they have potentially been talking to other companies about buying certain IPs from them. And I wonder whether that is something that might happen. You know, of like, if they know that there's an IP that they're probably not going to use anymore, Splinter Cell, I can see them potentially offloading those
you're
things.
not. No, they're not letting go of Splinter Cell. It's just the name alone is no. That's like Konami getting rid of Metal Gear. Metal Gear. That's not happening. They'll sit on it forever or make terrible games.
They would rather sit on it and do nothing than let someone else do it, right?
Like the Nemesis system.
Yeah.
It's all about them selling the merch at that point. No,
that's a shame. But I am interested to see, you know, with this new entity, like how things actually shake out, because Tencent will only own 25%. So they still don't have a controlling stake.
No, they have minority, correct.
So it's kind of like, what's the point? They like, in the face of it, it's almost like, what is the point? You may as well have just allowed them to buy more of the main company, because this is just a subsidiary of the main company anyway.
This is a testing the waters to see if it will work.
Yeah.
And
if it works, then we will acquire more stock.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe
that subsidiary will become a Tencent company, basically, right?
That's the one.
Yeah. So essentially, this is Tencent going, these are the IPs we want, spin them off into a separate company. We'll invest some money, and then we'll see how it goes. And if it goes well, we'll buy the rest of this company from you with these IPs as well.
Yes.
And that's the part I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm all for helping the company survive, but when you have a motive that maybe eventually you're going to acquire IPs that this company has created and fostered for decades. Oh, this is mine. You ever see that image, that drawing, where the person shows the person? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
And he's like, I made this. And the guy's like, you made this? And then the guy disappears and goes, I made this.
I made this.
That's this. That is this.
That is
That's going to happen.
I mean, you have to wonder how desperate Ubisoft are, though, because if they're willing to spin off essentially their biggest and most successful IPs, like even in the dark days for them, these 3 IPs have been guaranteed hits every single time.
Even though people haven't liked the Assassin's Creeds after Unity, they have still sold a lot.
Yeah. And like Valhalla, which is actually one of the most disliked by many of the fans,
sold the most.
Obviously,
go figure that. You know what? I hate this game so much. I hate Ubisoft so much. I'm gonna buy this game and show them that this game is terrible.
Obviously, there are circumstances.
I have to stop you because this is something that really makes me mad, and also I laugh at you, not you, but the people. I don't like this game. I don't like this game. I bought this game and I'm making fun of this game and I'm ridiculing this game and I'm writing all these stupid documentaries of this game and making these videos about this game. They got your money, don't they?
They got your money, and at that point, they also have a lot of your attention. So if you're going to put so much attention on this game, if you don't like it, you're spending so much of your time on talking about this game, right? And you're already spending more exposure, more awareness, everything.
Yeah, so there's a few things on this. First, I think that people forget. I don't know why my camera's gone weird. There we go.
Are you using an AI camera like I used to?
No, I'm not.
It was terrible.
I'm not. It's just weird.
Terrible.
So I think that people forget engagement numbers are actually, in some sense, more important to sales for these companies now.
Yep.
Like, there's a reason that they report player numbers and total hours played, because the stats show them that those things actually matter just as much, if not more, than the sales numbers in the long run. Because if you've got people playing millions and millions of hours of a game, they're more likely to spend more money on that game. You know, it is what it is. But the other thing to defend Valhalla slightly is that I do think Valhalla was a very fortunate. It benefited from circumstances around the time of its release.
Yeah.
Number one, it released at the start of a new console generation, right? And any game from a major franchise that releases at the start of a new generation is probably going to sell to nearly every single person that buys one of those consoles within the first month or so.
I honestly, I have fallen victim to this. Valhalla was like my third game on the PS5.
Yeah. So that helped it significantly. And then what else was happening in 2020? Was anything happening for the reason that people might have been playing games more often back then?
Yeah, you wait a few more months and this thing called the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And everyone was playing games inside their houses because they couldn't do anything else.
Yeah,
I was going to say something else, but the pandemic happened.
So I think that those two things tremendously helped that game. And I'm not saying it wouldn't have been a success anyway, right? But there's a reason that the most successful game behind Valhalla sold half as many units, right, in the franchise. So it definitely got helped by circumstances. But to bring it back to Shadows as closing off our Ubisoft section here, I want to say that Assassin's Creed is clearly still a very successful franchise because Shadows has done very, very well. And I believe, Scott, you actually reported that the other day they announced they've had 3 million players in the first week, right?
They had 3 million players, and they also announced that the only game that sold more on the first week was Valhalla.
Yeah.
Every other Assassin's Creed, it sold more than.
Which, can I just say, for a game that apparently everyone wanted to die and had terrible things against
so many
it,
articles were coming the week of Shadows saying that it sold only 300,000 copies because they were reporting Steam numbers and only Steam numbers.
Yeah. So I don't know what's happened, but Shadows almost seems like a straw that broke the camel's back for the entire games industry. Because I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that it's a slap in the face to the grifters, to the people who assumed that the game was going to be woke, that the game was going to be terrible, and lo and behold,
there are people who assumed that, and for the first time ever, they seem to be playing a game and admitting that, oh, actually, it's good. What have people got to that point where they finally realized that it's okay to just say a game's good again?
What? They don't want to do the whole every game is mid anymore argument?
It genuinely feels, maybe it's just me, but it genuinely feels like something has changed a little bit, and that Shadows has been a turning point for that kind of attitude that we've seen in recent times. Because if these grifters wanted a game to die before, it would essentially die. But so far, Shadows has defied that, right? It's completely, and I do think it helps that I think all of us would admit that it's a better game than even we expected. I think that would be a fair statement. I know that, Keith, you haven't played as much as myself and Scott, but I think even you said that you did enjoy it more than you thought you would, right?
For the 20 hours that I played, I've enjoyed the hell out of that game.
Yeah.
So I think it just proves that ultimately, when a game is good, it's okay to enjoy it, and don't let people on social media put you off.
Exactly.
Honestly, you should just probably not take opinions off social media in the first place.
Very true.
True.
No.
There are a lot of good people on social media that are giving valid opinions.
Yes.
If you're going to go to social media, please go to Blue Sky from now on.
The thing I have about that is if you're going to take an opinion of somebody, look at their past posts. Some people have agendas, and
absolutely,
they're not truthful to you. There are a lot of people who don't have agendas who rather just tell you how it is, and I respect those people. But when you have people that have agendas and they want games to fail, or it doesn't fit into their circle of certain games, or there's a certain race in the game, or there's a female lead character in the game, of course they're not going to say anything positive of the game. It could be the best game ever.
True, very true.
You know, and they're going to say something negative because they don't like it, because they live in a sheltered world, and maybe need to wake up.
I will say, as a very quick note before we move on, when I was doing my review for Shadows and I decided that I was going to give it a 5 out of 5, there was part of me where I was like, oh, I'm going to get heat for this, aren't I? Because I did wonder if I was going to be the only one. But I'm not the only one.
You saw all the people going, wow, this is a good game. This is a good game. This is a good game. I mean, all the people that were like, wow, this is a good game.
I mean, my review came out at embargo, so I decided to score either way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there
it was
were
interesting.
So many people that gave this game a perfect score or near perfect score. Like a 9.5 is a 10. We're rounding up, people. A 9.5 is a 10. So
yeah. And there's a lot of people that gave it 9.5 or above.
Yeah.
There was only like a handful of sites that gave it mid.
Less than a 6.
Yeah.
And I would just say that, you know, this game is another case of people have agendas even when reviewing games.
Oh, yeah.
And their scores are not always actually representative of the game experience. So
I wish
or even of their own opinions at times.
I wish people would stop looking at scores or holding scores in a high regard. I wish they would either listen to what the people are saying or reading what the people are saying. Because what they read the review.
It's so weird and jarring when you read reviews and it's like 90% of it is praise, or like a 10% of it. This is what I didn't like, and it's like a 4 out of 10. And you're like, where the heck did this number come from? You just pull a number on a dartboard.
Yeah. I mean, it is like, even when we talk about games and we're like, I don't know if it should give this score or not. It is a process, but it should be one that makes sense. You know, if you're talking about a game and you're saying there's a lot more positive than negatives. Okay, I get it. Or even a game that has technical issues, but under those technical issues, it's a great game, and you know that the developers are going to fix that. You can overlook that. But if you got a game that's like the frame rate is ass, games the visuals are ass.
It sounds like Keith has played a game recently on PC that's had terrible frame rate or something.
The developers aren't getting back to you. They haven't sent you anything saying, hey, we know this is an issue. We're going to address this, blah, 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 blah. Then, all right, no, it's kind of a problem there. I don't know if I'm going to give it a high
basically, what we're saying is context is important and the number doesn't speak for itself.
Exactly. But unfortunately, the industry thrives on numbers.
Thrives on that score.
Yeah.
So, anywho, we talked enough. It's time for Scott to talk about this game called Trails Beyond the Horizon. What is this? What is this game?
Alrighty. So, for those of you who have been keeping up with the Trails games, most likely not a lot, but there are still some of those. The Trails series has had a lot of a mired past with its localization and its translation and the woes of trying to work with Falcom and getting games into the West. Because Falcom has been very strict on how they get the games to the West, and a lot of the times they'll be like basically the big obstacle for their publishers to get it to be English, basically. So we finally got Daybreak 2, which is Chrono Kaseki 2. The Crimson Sin in Japan, and it's been like a 2-3 year wait between when it came out and when it was now here in the West. We just got announced this week that the third game of this arc, which back was Kaino Kaseki in Japan, which is now Trails Beyond the Horizon in English, as now it's called, is going to be finally coming out this year, which makes it finally, once this game comes out in the West and globally, we'll finally be caught up with Trails in Japan. So we will be 1-to-1, which means the next game in the series could be a worldwide release, if they get everything working as well as it should, or it could even be like only a few month wait at most. So this is kind of crazy in the Trails community to get a game this soon to launch that it did in Japan. It came out in Japan, I think it was at the end of 2023. And so now this is still, it's just kind of really quick for Falcom games, because usually we have to wait years and years before they show up.
Can I ask a quick question? Why is this still happening in this day and age? Like, I thought we had got to the point where all games could be worldwide releases now.
There are some developers who are very stingy with their everything, basically. So the problem with Falcom was they wanted to make sure that their game was basically made the way they wanted to. The script was, everything was how they made it. And also because of how quick they would make their games, like almost like a year to 2 year release date, they basically focused so much on their own versions of the game, and they'd release it in Japan. And then once they were released, that was when they worked on getting in contact with the publisher to then publish the game in another region. Mm-hmm. So they had a lot of problems with getting like the script to these publishers in time. So it's really hard to get, like, you know, publishers have to not only just get the script, they have to get people to basically port the game to that version of like the different PlayStation regions, getting to the different PlayStation stores or the PC regions correctly. They also had to then make sure, especially like with like Xseed or with NS America, they also wanted to have the voiced content to be voiced in that particular region. So they wanted the English voices. They had to hire voice actors. They had to hire a voice studio to get all of these voices. They had to do all the casting. And so it's just like so it takes them basically to like re-release the game almost, because they have to redo writing for localization purposes, for translation purposes. They have to rewrite characters to get like actual appropriate voice sounding people to get everything accomplished. So the biggest problem at that time was Falcom just basically holding on to everything in the game until it released for the first time, and then they would give it out. They have now, since we've now seen with Trails in the Sky first chapter released, are a lot more open with working with publishers while while development is ongoing. So the script is now at the publisher, and they're working on the script themselves, so that it can actually be a little more of a process to get it everywhere, rather than making it be released in Japan first and then giving it to the publisher. So that's the problem with Falcom. And in other cases, they're like for those of you who follow like NIS, the NIS Japan still releases games in Japan first before they let NIS America take it. I don't know if that's just because they also, well, I think it's also because NIS America takes a little extra time in beta testing than Japan does. You'll notice that Japan releases have a lot more broken things going on than when NIS America releases them. So I feel like there's a little more QA that happens during the porting process when it comes to giving it to the other regions. Yeah, I don't know if that's just because Japan is so focused on usually one or two platforms. A lot of Japan studios at this time are focused on Switch. They don't really look at the high-end console. So if you're wondering why a lot of the Japanese
that
games
isn't going to last much longer.
Yeah, so eventually they'll probably have the Switch 2 as their main platforms they're focusing on. But that's just because if you look at like the numbers of software sales, Switch is always across the board. Most of Japan buys almost everything exclusively on Switch. Yeah. So that's why a lot of the Japanese developers
from what I understand, it's because the Japanese people really like essentially small devices.
Yeah.
And that was why even the Xbox Series S actually did quite well in Japan compared to what they were expecting, because it was a much smaller device.
They like smaller devices. They also like a lot of the time they're doing a lot more with handhelds. So you'll notice that Steam does get a little bit more of a jump because when they started doing Steam Decks in Japan. That's because they like their handhelds, and that's also because Japan still has a lot of commuting from like subways and trains. Yes. So they like bringing their consoles on the go because they have like a 45-minute commute, so they might as well just bring something to play while they're going to their offices.
Yeah, true. Heath sounds like he would fit well in Japan because he likes gaming on the go as well, as we all know. That man's got so many portable gaming devices.
Well, I think portable gaming devices, handhelds need to have a quantum surge in processing power.
Yeah.
But there's a whole gamut of things that requires that, bigger screens, better battery, and then we start getting to the point where something that's like 6-7 pounds is now 12 pounds, and kind of an issue with people hold it in their hand for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
So, but hey, yeah, it'll be worth it.
Very true. Very true.
That's just your fun Japanese, well, I wouldn't say history, more cultural lesson for the day. So I'm really excited that Trails Beyond the Horizon will be coming out this year in the fall, which is ironically the same time frame that we have for Trails in the Sky, the first chapter remake.
I was going to say there's meant to be another one, right? That's what I was going to ask.
So we're basically getting 2 Trails games in the same season. And before that season, we're also getting the East versus Trails in the Sky Definitive Edition fighting games. So Trails games are all coming
going to disappear. Scott's going to disappear for a while.
And Fall 2025 is also the year that I blew up all my time playing Trails.
He's going to be buried in JRPGs while the rest of us are hopefully playing GTA 6.
Pass. I don't care. I told you about that. I don't care about that game. I don't care.
I mean, they know that nobody's going to be able to beat GTA 6. Why even try for Game of the Year? Just put all your games out this year.
It's going to be funny. It's going to come out, and there's going to be this one amazing indie game that's just going to blow everything away.
We're going to get Balatro 2.
I will say, though, while we're on that tangent very quickly, I saw an article somewhere recently where it was a publisher or something that basically said it's not just hyperbole. People are not giving dates because they want to avoid GTA.
Yep.
And it's a well-discussed thing within the industry that everyone is basically waiting to see if GTA does still come this year, because if it does, then they are going to be...
Then they're going to early 2026.
Yeah. And I think that Strauss Zelnick said the other day that they're 7 months away from release, so he might have kind of revealed something before he should have, which I feel like he's put pressure on them now, because 7 months would suggest late October.
Do you really think their game's coming out this year? I mean, do you really think it's coming out this year?
I
mean, do you really think it's coming out this year?
Depends what I had to bet on it.
See, there you go. Now you see what he does. It's either a yes or a no.
I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. I'm 50-50 on it. But if I had to choose, I would say that it's coming out early next year.
Fair enough. So it's not this year. Just say no, not this year.
But I want it to be this year so that I can beat Scott in our Fantasy Critic League.
That's okay. You probably will beat me anyways, but Sean will still be on top.
True.
I don't think Sean has put a single other bid down because he's still in the lead by such a high amount.
Yeah. He's like 30 points ahead of me. It's crazy.
And all of my stuff are coming out like the end of the year, so I'm still like, I got 2 games coming out this year. Yeah. Hooray!
However, I might actually have that Metroid Prime now, so that's cool. Oh god. The future of games is going to be interesting.
Wild and wonderful.
Yeah.
Wild and wonderful.
Talking about the future, I think some people are getting a little bit carried away with a leaked screenshot recently, aren't they?
You think?
Oh yeah.
Although I do think there's a conversation worth having there. So let's talk about it.
No, there isn't.
Let's talk about it. I'm going to be devil's advocate for this conversation.
Okay.
All right, you be devil's advocate.
Let's get into it.
I'll be Constantine. No.
Okay, so I guess we'll set the context before we start doing the talking about it. But essentially, there was at one of these showcases, there was a leaked screenshot of a picture of basically an Xbox app with a Steam integrated like game
Tab.
on top of it.
Yeah.
It's Steam integrated tab on it. And people speculated this to a whole heck of a lot of degrees, basically saying that this is just a screen cap of the next Xbox console UI. And when The Verge actually dug into it and talked to one of the people, they denied that it was ever a thing, but they did say that they were testing the Xbox PC app with Steam integrated AI integrated into it, which for those of you who don't know, that's not a new thing for PC launchers.
Yeah.
Launchers like if you get like Epic Games, you can do it, but the most prominent one is like GOG. With GOG, you can actually put you can also do it on Steam too. You can basically integrate other libraries from other apps into that launcher.
And even on the Xbox app on PC currently, you can integrate Ubisoft Connect into your Xbox app. So that already happens. So that stuff isn't surprising. And it's probably a good move for them, because if they want to try and push people towards their app, and we've already seen that they're really trying to push for more Play Anywhere titles and things like that as well, to get people to buy more stuff through them. But one way of getting people to use your app more is integrate Steam with it, right?
Yeah.
I think where people got a little carried away is
a little.
A little.
90% of the articles about this are a little carried away.
Yeah, but I say a little carried away because I still think that they're on to something that may happen in the future. I just don't think it will happen as quickly as they think it will. And we've spoken about this a bit. We've spoken a bit about this, Keith, and even you said that it's possible. Even you said it's possible.
I said on the PC platform, when you're talking about a console. Now, let's add some more context to this. Microsoft Xbox has been saying or toying with the idea of getting rid of the console and making it just a PC in a small form factor.
Basically, a more accessible PC.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then yes, because it's we all know that the Xbox and the PlayStation is a PC, but it's a more closed wall garden PC.
It's its own operating system based on a familiar architecture.
But if they go the PC route, then anything is up for grab, because it is now Win32. And yes, you could say they come out with this OS for the PC and they do this, and it's a PC under your TV, which is great. Fantastic. There's nothing to stop people from side loading Steam or Epic Games Store or whatever, because it's a PC and you can't stop that.
Yes.
And I would love to see them try, but it would never happen.
No. There's I mean, the thing about that too is that won't help the piracy problem at all for consoles.
Very true. Very true.
So that's what I was saying would be possible. Now, if it's just a console, that's a complete different architecture.
Yeah.
No.
I agree with that. I agree with that. To be very clear, I do agree that if they're just doing a traditional console next time around, there's no way that this console is going to have Steam integration. However, I do think that if you're someone who has been in tune with all of the different reports over the last sort of year or so about what their next hardware plans are, it does sound like they're making steps to essentially make their console even more PC-like.
Did somebody not say that this was going to happen years ago?
Yeah, I know. And this
is going to happen. These consoles are okay.
And this is something I was going to ask you to before we actually started recording, but I wanted to save it.
No, I told you shut up. I said nicely, shut up. Save for the podcast.
With the Steam Deck, for example, you have it loads into essentially big picture mode, right? But it's not really big picture mode, but that's what it's built on.
It's based off big picture mode, yes.
But then you can load it into a more traditional PC mode should you want to, right? You
Desktop
can load it into a desktop mode.
Yep.
Could you see Xbox and Microsoft potentially going that route for their console hardware, where they do have a bespoke sort of OS that runs more like a console, and then you can turn it into more of a PC should you want to?
So think about that question you just asked.
Yeah.
Did you just answer your own question?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, but yeah, because the moment you say, could they change it into something that can do this and that, you're back to the PC.
Yeah.
The console was made to do one thing,
and
that's it. And there's not saying that there's a bad thing about what the consoles do, but we are past the point now of consoles being just a console. If the OS for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X wasn't as locked down as it is, it could be doing things that a PC.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you the question in a different way then. Could they make a console that is a more open platform?
I mean, they probably
could. They, like, let's say they made what we would consider a traditional console, right? But then they went to Epic and they went to Steam and they said, hey, if you want to put your storefronts on our system, you can do that.
Just having a storefront alone, though, doesn't confirm compatibility is the problem with that.
I agree, but it's a step towards something, right?
It would be, but the biggest problem that you would have with that is there'd be essentially less reason to use the Microsoft Store on the Xbox.
Absolutely. But this is where I think the issue will be, because this is what I think they're trying to do. I think they're trying to, and I could be wrong, it's just speculation, but I think they're trying to set up a situation where the Xbox essentially becomes the conduit for Game Pass, and then you don't even have to buy games on the platform because you can buy them on the other storefronts if you want to. Do you know what I mean? It almost feels like they're trying to make it a PC without making it a PC. They're trying to answer... It almost feels like they're trying to answer that age-old question that's been around for a long time now, which is, how can we service the crowd that wants something better than a console, but doesn't want the hassle of a PC experience?
You give them a PC and you dress it up as a console.
Yeah. So is that what they're going to do? That's my question.
It's going to be interesting if they try, but I don't think it will be a very successful run if they do it that way. Not because of the whole, I guess, them trying to cater towards both parties, but it's because if they are trying to do it in this way, they're going to have to basically push to have more people cooperating and more people trying to discuss what things happen. And when you have too many heads at the table, you're going to have a whole lot of problems in making everything run or work.
Not to mention... Go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said, essentially, with having Epic Games and Steam on a platform that, even if it's similar to PC, but won't fully be a PC because they want to be a console operating system, you're going to have so many problems with compatibility with games, with how things function. There's already issues with like the Steam Deck trying to get Steam Deck settings working. You have to still fiddle around with certain games, especially those that don't have Steam Deck already settings on them. And even in some cases, like with, like I noticed, I talked about in my Warriors Abyss review, you have them that they undervalue the Steam hardware, so they put it even lower than they need to be.
Yeah, true. What I would say is, I don't think companies working together is unheard of, though.
No.
You know, and I don't think, like, even if we look at it from a wider PC kind of perspective, PC is basically a load of companies working together. like the entire platform is essentially a load of companies working together, right? Like
Together is an interesting way to phrase that.
they
I was
work
gonna say
together.
that,
They work together because they have to.
I was going to say, making a lot of assumptions there, my friend. A lot of assumptions.
There's a reason not many people like Epic. Let's just say that.
True. But yeah, I'm just intrigued, because what I would say is, while I think people are getting carried away with this Steam thing,
Just a bit.
I don't think it's something that we can honestly sit here and say that it will never happen.
I definitely can. I definitely will go on that limb and say, no, I'm not seeing that happen. You're talking about two different architectures, two different worlds. And as much as you want to see, or people want to see, you can't have them both. It's one or the other.
Why can you not have them both?
Okay, so let's go with the Xbox route.
Mm-hmm.
If you are able to install a Steam game onto a console Xbox,
yeah,
where's the baseline? Do you want to see the PC version? The PC version, because they're not going to go and code another version of the game, and put it on Steam for the console. Mm-hmm. You already have the console version. They're not going to do that. So, do you want to see the Steam version of Assassin's Creed Shadows being downloaded from Steam onto Xbox? Because one, it makes no sense. Two, it's a loss or profit. You forget you can get PC games cheaper than you can get console games.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a major concern.
Yeah.
That's one. Two, when you do this, you're going to have issues with settings now.
Yeah.
You can't go on your Xbox version and change, as many things as you can on the PC version.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you introduce that mess in the first place?
So here becomes my question to you then. We've heard rumors of them working potentially on some sort of gaming version of Windows, right? Mm-hmm. And these are quite strong. For the first time ever, this might actually really be happening. What if their next hardware isn't a console in terms of the architecture, but it's just a console in terms of the way people view it? As in, it has the easy plug and play situation.
Then you have a Windows 8 situation.
Yes. I was about to stop you. The second somebody screws up, or the messaging gets across that this is a PC, I don't want this. This is a PC. And I know what PC game is about, and I don't want this. Full stop. I don't want this.
Interesting.
There are people out there who still believe that PC gaming is at your desk, the keyboard.
But that's what I'm kind of saying is, would it not be possible for them to try and, like I was saying earlier, basically service this market that does exist but has never been serviced? Service the market of gamers that want a PC style experience with the convenience of console. Because those people exist. There's a reason.
You're asking the question and you're answering the question at the same time. Those people will want it, but the people who don't want it, which will outnumber the people who do want that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why PC gaming is as big as it is, but at least in, we'll say, North America, more people are under the belief that console gaming outnumbers PC gaming. They're under the assumption, again, the negative stigma, because stigma is negative, that PC gaming is updating drivers and stupid things that haven't been a thing in years.
I agree.
Versus the console. And the moment they see that it's a PC, or here's a PC, or it's marketed as a PC that can do all these things, this PC gives you console-like experience. I don't want a console-like experience. I want a console.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. What if it's not even marketed like a PC? That's what I'm saying to you. What if it's only PC?
If you're talking about Microsoft, you cannot lie to the public. You've already got enough negative publicity. You cannot lie.
Why don't you? Could they not just do it in a way that, let's say they have this OS system, right? Let's say in a perfect world, they nail this gaming OS system, and the OS is basically Xbox, right? They make Xbox into an OS for gaming. And then you make a box that some people might call a console, and you have it run this new operating system where, oh, guess what? You can also install.
You're doing it again. You're going in circles. It's the same answer. It will be the same answer regardless.
But why? Because people wouldn't view that as a PC.
So you would rather take a PC with a new OS, market it as a console, and then throw away everything that the PC is able to do. Upgrade your GPU, add more memory, this, that, and the third, just because you want to get it under the TV, in people's living rooms. But for a lot of people, that is what they want. That's exactly what they want. The problem is it's not. Again, it's still a PC. Yes, it's growing. We want more people to have this. More people are looking at this, but this is a super, super thin, fine line. You still have to go against the grain and remove all the hatred. So are you saying that it's not possible for them to train people to think a different way? Training people is a bad word.
No.
But you know what I mean. You know what I mean, though.
No, you cannot. Especially if you're Microsoft, you cannot. What you do is you say, this is a PC that will give you a console-like experience, and you market the hell out of it. And
then you prove it, right?
Every chance you get, and show them.
Yeah. And then you prove it.
And then you prove it.
Yeah, that's true.
You get this thing in the hands of everybody who knows how to play this stuff.
So do you think they have the guts to take that approach? That's what I'm going to ask you.
No.
You don't think so?
Not this Xbox, no.
Interesting.
I think this Xbox we're going to be third party now. We don't care.
Fair. So let me finalize it with one question to you based on that then. If they're going to go third party, which they clearly are they going to be a third party that still does hardware, or a third party that doesn't do hardware anymore?
I think it's a third party that eventually will stop doing hardware, and that sucks.
Okay. How long, in your mind, do you think they do another generation of hardware?
I don't know. Because the messaging is everywhere. It's literally everywhere. They've taken every idea they have and have tossed it against the wall. We got a handheld that we're working with different companies. We still want to make our own handheld. We still want to give you a new generation of Xbox, but we also want to do Win32. Like, dude, make up your mind.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think that the reason that messaging is all over the place is because some of those messages are actually tied together? They just don't want to reveal it yet.
They are not tied together in the slightest.
No, they're not tied together.
So for example, the new generation of hardware thing and the Win32 thing, is there not a chance those two things are actually tied together, but they just don't want to say it yet?
No, because if you're working on an OS, a gamified OS that PC gamers have been asking for forever, and that Valve has showed you that it works, I would be busting my ass off to get this into the hands of every PC gamer who runs a Windows OS, which is pretty much
true.
Most of the gamers.
I'm not trying to be that guy to be rude to people out there, but the people who keep The people who keep pushing the message that Linux is the next generation of PC gaming, no, guys.
They've been
There's
saying that for
way
like
too
20
many
years
issues
at this
still.
point.
I get it. You love Linux. There's nothing wrong with loving Linux. I love Linux as well. When I run my web stack, my Apache stack, and that's great. But when it comes to my gaming, no.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think SteamOS did more for Linux with SteamOS than Linux has done for like 30 years for gaming.
Yeah. And then now you got these different forks and distros of Linux, and people want to run gaming. That's fantastic. Photon and all this. It's great.
Yeah.
Great. But Linux is still not there. There's a reason why most people develop games for Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as you don't like it, and you keep coming out and going, well, you can do this now. Okay, you can do this, and I got to jump through a million hoops to do this, or I can just download and install the game on my Windows machine. Be done with it. There's a reason why this is. You don't have to like it. But Microsoft has been saying, hey, we want to help the PC gamers. We want to show them that we care. And every time they say that, it goes, where is it? You give us a half-ass baked version of the Xbox app for the PC that still is terrible. It's better than it has been before.
Yeah,
but it is terrible.
They've improved it considerably, from what I hear. I'm not someone that experienced it years ago, but from what I hear, it
was garbage years ago.
Yeah, it was not.
It's functional now. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
you do not release an app where I cannot install a game on a different hard drive unless I do some tinkering in the registry.
Yeah,
what?
It's just dumb.
You don't do that.
No.
No,
there's definitely problems, but I think it's a really interesting time for hardware. I do agree with you, Keith. Where
a gamified Windows OS on the ROG Ally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I correct myself again. Or the MSI Claw, or whatever else is coming out in the future.
Yeah,
that can do all those things and also run Steam Big Picture Mode. That would eat Steam OS. Literally eat it.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah. And I think, as we're kind of saying here through this conversation, what we've essentially said is whatever you are doing, unfortunately, they're in the situation now where they have to prove it, right?
Yes.
Because
Microsoft has been in that situation ever since the end of the Xbox 360 era.
Yeah. And I think it sucks for them in a way, because it does mean that when they do something really cool, people always think there's a catch, or they always think...
Well, they've done it to themselves every freaking time.
They have.
We got a Japanese studio. We just sold the Japanese.
For example, one of the biggest ones I remember, right, is when Game Pass first came out. And not even when it first came out, but a little while after, when they started saying all first parties will be day one, I remember that loads of people did not believe them, and it literally took years of them doing it before people believed that they would continue to do it. Which is crazy.
I loved it. The moment they mentioned that their games will be day one on PC, I was like, yes, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Because it still stayed within their platform. It still stayed within their ecosystem.
They run PC, right? They run,
and they proved that it worked. You could go from Xbox to PC.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They proved that it worked.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why I think their future really is interesting, because I do think, and I'm more of an optimist. You know me. You know that I am, and I'm an optimist about all things gaming. But I do think they've done things in the past where they have proved people wrong, and they have proved that something is possible that we might not think is possible, So who knows what the hell they're working on? Because it kind of feels like maybe they're working on 10 different things, and they haven't actually decided what the focus will be yet.
Maybe it's misdirection.
But maybe it's misdirection. You do have to wonder, don't you? You do have to wonder. Yeah, they're gonna in 2 years they're gonna come around and say, "Do you know what? This third-party experiment didn't pan out. Exclusives again for everybody.
Exclusives don't work.
Oh God!
You know one exclusive that has been working for years?
Yeah.
World of Warcraft.
True. To be fair, to quote Sean Layden for a minute, because he did an interview not that long ago with Destin, formerly of IGN, and he talked about how, from his perspective, Xbox going third party, given the group of studios that they have built up, and given the other services they offer to support their Xbox business, he said them going third party is actually the right choice because there's too much money for them at this point that they can make with the amount of studios that they have, essentially. And I thought that was a really interesting perspective because it kind of is. When you think about it, they own over 30 studios, and when you're releasing that many games everywhere, you're almost guaranteed to have a healthy business to some extent.
I mean, Activision has lived off of Call of Duty for years, so...
True.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, I guess we'll see if this Xbox Steam integration comes to anything. I think it's an interesting discussion to have. I do think in the short term, I think you guys are correct. I actually think that it's more likely if they do anything with it, it will be in the handheld space first. I think they'll have whatever their bespoke
see my face.
OS.
You see my face. You see my face.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like, let's remember that Steam and Valve and Xbox seem a lot more friendly these days than they have done in the past. Like, I'm cautious to ever rule anything completely out because I've seen stranger things happen, you know? Like,
I like that show. Well, I think we've beat that pinata. We are almost at 2 hours, so we are not going to have a round table unless somebody really wants it. I don't think we need it today.
Nah, probably not.
No, look, see, Jordan's got something. What is it?
I was just going to pimp again, you know, make sure you look out for our South of Midnight review that will be coming on April the 3rd at noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. in the UK, and 9 a.m. on the Pacific. Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, Keith will be handling the video review. I've done my
maybe out on time.
Oh man.
So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel for that as well, because we'll have that. And who knows, when I next appear on this show, maybe I'll have a working PC back.
That's the dream. No.
Better rock that AMD or get rid of that motherboard.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Trash. You replace literally everything. You got the GPU back. The GPU is great. You swap out the power supply.
GPU has been verified as good. I've swapped out the power supply now, and that didn't fix the issue. Yeah. I've tried different RAM sticks. That didn't fix the issue.
Yeah. The
company that built the PC actually changed the CPU and the MOBO for brand new like-for-like replacements.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
When you troubleshoot things, you don't put back the same things. You try something else.
You try a different part.
so I now have to contact them again tomorrow, and it's very likely they're going to have me send my PC off again, but because they're a big company and deal with...
At this point, I would rather just go to the store, buy a motherboard, put it in just to verify, hey, it works. I tested it for you. It's the motherboard. Send me a damn motherboard.
Yeah, I know. The thing is they refuse to. So under warranty, the only things they won't let me do myself is they will not send me out a motherboard or CPU. I have to send it to them for them to do those things. So I have to basically send my PC off for up to 2 weeks again. Probably
Well-
longer than that because they told me 2 weeks last time and it took 3 weeks. So
Well,
Yeah.
you got your Nvidia Shield, so you can still play games.
yes,
Yeah.
I can. And I do plan to have more coverage of more games very soon. And when I have a PC back, I plan to do some more streaming on our YouTube channel as well. So make sure you
Come back in a
subscribe
month.
for all of that.
All right. Well, we are done. As always, thanks for checking out the Spectator Mode Podcast. We are, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. We are the premier podcast of the Outer Haven. You know, we got those other podcasts, but we're number one. We're number one. And so don't tell those other guys I said that. As always, you can check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon. You can also check us out on Spotify, Buzzsprout, and wherever else you can find great podcasts. Also, if you do check us out on Spotify and or Apple, please do us a favor and leave a rating. It helps us stand out among the thousands of other gaming podcasts out there. We also have great content over at theouterhaven.net. We've got news, reviews, previews, and a lot more coming up. So definitely check those out. And while we don't have one, because I could not make it out to Los Angeles, depending on when this podcast goes up, it'll probably be out beforehand. The previews for Doom, Dark Ages are coming out. So look forward to them.
Don't do that to me because they had some previews here in the UK as well. And I didn't even get invited, even though I asked them months ago. I was like, when there's a preview, please let me know.
We got invited, but I was like, no, that's too soon. Nobody can make it out. Sorry. And it was like,
It was sad.
damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it. Why did I say that? Damn it.
But
My job could have missed me. I mean, was it worth spending $600 to fly out to Los Angeles for like 4 hours of gameplay to coming back?
Very possibly. No,
Like, damn. Man.
I will say I can't tell you what it is yet, but in a few weeks, I'm going to London to preview a game, and I will have that up on the site. What I will say is that it's a game that some outlets have actually got to see some behind-the-scenes stuff of already. So if you
play Elden Ring Night Ring?
If you do some Google searching and maybe watch some YouTube podcasts, you might even be able to figure out what the game is that I'm going to see. If you do figure it out, leave it in the comments and we'll tell you once we can actually tell you.
We'll tell you 4 weeks later you're right.
Right? Maybe. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. And if you're in North America, be safe. All right. We'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.
Bye.